You're now listening to the Palmetto Dugout Show, hosted by State Director Sammy Esposito, Associate Scouts Drew Stewart and Sean Smith, that discuss all things related to amateur baseball in South Carolina. Here are your hosts.
Why is everybody muted? We're muted, Coach. Coach Christmas, how we doing? Your mic's on. I don't know why everybody's muted.
I don't know why. Hey, welcome to another high school preview show. Coach Christmas at Fort D. What's going on, Coach? He might be muted, but I can unmute him. Coach, you can talk now.
You good now?
Yep.
I'm great, man. How are you guys doing?
Fantastic. A little technical difficulties to start the show off. That's okay.
That's kind of our norm right now. We keep trying to do that Instagram thing. It ain't working too well.
Yeah, StreamYard's having a lot of fun with us.
Need to get some young kids in there, man.
We got two of them right here. We got two Coach Christmas.
Can't figure it
guys
out.
right there. They're in their young 20s. I guess they're old though now in this day and age of technology.
You're right.
I'm falling behind, Coach. Coach, we'll kind of start off talking a little bit last year. Some guys that you've lost.
Yeah, well, they lost two of their main players that was studying the lineup was LJ and RJ. RJ Helmington and LJ. One went on to play at Claflin. The other guys at USC Sumter. Those are two big. One was a big arm that obviously that Coach Sayre had in the lineup. On one of his region guys, and then losing the guy from behind the plate, that kind of gave him the freedom to have Wickersham playing shortstop a lot instead of catching in the pitch. So, fortunate for me, we've overcome that hurdle. Banks wants to catch, so he's gonna be catching at least once a week, which is a good thing for him because that's what he wants to do in college, and that's what's important to us as coaches. I want to win baseball games, but at the end of the day, these kids are trying to advance their careers, and he needs to catch because that's what he wants to do. So that's what we're going to let him do is catch.
Now you talk about Banks Wickersham a little bit there. What's as I'm in this black hole, as the lights have gone off around me right now. Talk about some of those returners that you're looking to step up on this year's team.
I mean, obviously Banks. That kid's a workhorse, and if any of you guys have been around him and watched him, man, he's an impressive kid to watch. And I say that, we've had talks with the other players on the teams about it. I get it. It's hard to be there and listen to a coach or a parent or somebody, and it's Banks this, Banks that. That kid's earned everything that he's getting. I remember my son did lessons with him when he was 7, 8 years old. I used to tell my son we'd be at Westcott Park up there hitting all the time, and I'd say, look around. There's PJ Orlando and Banks Wickersham. Those are the two kids that were up there hitting when we were hitting all the time. And so those kids have earned the right. Banks is the face of the Fort right now, and he's earned it. And so it's he's a hoss. Some of these kids just have God-given talent. I think Banks has worked his butt off to get what he's got, which is impressive.
Absolutely. On the other side of the things there, how about some guys maybe they're going to be new to the varsity roster this year, looking to make a contribution, some newcomers for you, Coach?
Yeah, we'll see. Well, we got just talking about these returners, man. We got a bunch of seniors. You got Nathan Clark in the outfield. He had a really good fall. He's gotten some interest now from some schools, which is important, right? We're trying to get these guys to the next level. Nathan Clark has stand out a lot. He's actually, of the Diamond Prospects this fall, he ended up being the MVP of the All-Star game. I think the kid hit like three doubles or something, 2 doubles and a triple in that inter-squad game they did. Lee Lovelace is another guy that Coach Sayre had in the outfield last year. He's coming back. He's a senior. That kid just looks like a ball player. You got left field. You had Daniel Shank, who was out there. He's a junior this year. He played volleyball in the fall, so he hadn't been out there much. He just ended, so he's been coming out there. An impressive hitter. Just watching him for the first couple of times he was out there, and just to watch him for the last 2 weeks. I'm obviously not coaching them, but I'd still go out there to open the cages, let them hit on their own. But he's that kid's going to be a good one. He's got some power. We got Cannon Corder was at first base. He's a big old lefty. He had a good fall. he's gotten some interest too from some junior colleges, which is important. He's one I look, and I was just talking to Cannon today. I said, as much as we hit, because that's what I do, is we hit a lot, way more than most schools do. I can tell you that. We probably spend 80% of our practice on hitting. And I told him, I said, this year I expect a good 4 of those guys to have 7 or 8 home runs apiece because they have the capable of doing it. They're doing it in BP, but it's hard to you got to translate that BP into actual live at bats. We all know that. Thomas Waymer's a senior. He pitched some last year, played a little outfield for Ronnie. That's some of those guys. Let me see what I got on this list. Luke Conroy, he's a junior. He was started as a sophomore, second base. He's a little firecracker, man. That guy, he's one of those ones that gets everybody pumped up. You always need that guy, man. Every team's got one of them, and Luke's that kid. Some newcomers we got. Zach Welch transferred in. His dad's actually helping with the coaching staff. He's a real good guy. Never really knew each other. He's the only one on the coaching staff that I didn't know personally that I brought in. But he knew some of these kids already. And Tommy's a wealth of knowledge. He's real energetic too. But Zach's done a real good job. He had a good fall. It was, I need to see how he played. He responded well to the coaching that we gave him. Sam DeMonte was a kid that didn't get much play time last year. But, it's a good thing about having this roster we have is that we're able to create competition within the team to make everybody better. And that's what's important to me. Jansen Bohannon in the outfield, another one. I've known him. I actually went to college with his uncle. We played baseball together. Jansen's, he's a good kid, good player. He's just solid all around. He's one of those nice kids, not very vocal. They call him KJ, Kenan Jackson. The outfielder. He's a big old kid. Reminds me of a guy I worked with, Bo Thompson, that played in the Upstate and played for the Citadel. I think that's what we got. The sleeper, I think, this year is a guy named Jake Denzik. He came out of nowhere. He was on JV last year. We, separated these DP teams into 2 teams and was not JV varsity, but, trying to give them where to get reps. Denzik was on what we would call some of the JV kids teams. He just raked. And so I put him on the other team, put him in the middle of the lineup, and that's all he did was rake. He's one of those kids that's very unassuming. And I'm sorry, Jake, if you're listening, but you're an unassuming kid. If you look at you don't think he's going to do much, but that kid can hit, and it's impressive. And it's going to be interesting when we do the lineups, and I like that challenge. And it's going to help these kids keep pushing each other. The bigger kid that we got that, didn't get to play last year, he's on everybody's radar, is obviously Brady Quirk. The kid's a stud, and it's we all say that about a lot of kids, but he's for not being in the weight room much, not getting to play baseball much, just come out of nowhere. He's been in the gym this fall with us. We're doing weightlifting 4 days a week at Fort in the mornings before school. He's put on some weight. He looks good. He's raking when he's up there. He's another kid that, like I told him, I said, it's going to be very easy for you. Some kids don't have it easy. All you got to do is eat right, stay healthy, and just take care of yourself. And this is going to be easy for you to get picked up by a school you want to go to. He was up to 89 this fall, and that's with us not even working with him. He was sitting, 86, 87 for the most time. He's throwing, between 84 and 87 across the diamond at shortstop. So he's another one, and that's kind of we're looking at. It's hard. We look at, hey, what we don't do in the region. And we'll get to that in a minute, right, guys, with James Island. But, right now it's, Banks is probably going to be one of the guys on the, one of the region games. We're going to have hopefully Brady and then Daniel Shank or Cannon. And the other kid that I missed on this was thinking was AJ Watts, man. That kid had the best fall of everybody. I think he hit 2 triples and 2 doubles this fall. He gets some good pitching. Again, he's another sleeper kid that, I don't think got as many innings as he deserved last year probably, which is hard. I ain't saying that Ronnie did anything wrong, but it's the same problem we have this year, right? We're going to have kids that aren't going to be playing sometimes that would be starting on any other team, which is a good problem to have. But AJ's quick, fast. He does what he's supposed to. He doesn't have probably the arm strength that he wants. He's working on that right now. But he's going to be a menace on the bases. And he doesn't throw hard off the mound, but this fall, just watching him pitch, he's got to change up. His arm action doesn't change, but his fastball and changeup's 10 miles per hour difference, and nobody hit him all fall. And so it's funny, we were playing one of the DP games against Berkeley, and Landy came to me and we pitched him, and he was like, "Who's this kid?" And I was talking about him. He goes, I won state last year with a kid doing the exact same thing. He said he threw 110 pitches and threw 6 innings, and he didn't throw a pitch over 78 miles an hour. And I'm like, yeah, that's what we're using for. We just threw Quirk, and then we threw him in right afterwards. And I'm like, it's hard for these kids to adjust, especially in high school. I think we covered a bunch of these kids, man. I think that's about it. Some of the returners.
Coach, you got a lot of depth there from what it sounds like. So what are some – you've got that really tough region. What are some expectations going into this year?
Well, I can tell you the expectations, but laid upon me is I'm supposed to win. I've been told that in the interview with the district and everybody else. They won 21 games last year, and everybody expects me to win. And I said, yeah, they got to buy into what we're doing. Obviously, me and Ronnie coach differently. That's not saying his my way is better than his or anything else, but my background's a lot different than Ronnie's, and so I'm a lot stricter on things. We're going to hit a lot more, but our expectations are to win. My expectations go to state every year. That's what we plan on doing. Even when I coached at Northwoods and I didn't have even a tenth of this talent, I still expected to win, and we held these kids to a higher standard. And we're hoping that's what these kids, they've bought in pretty good bit. We've done a ton of renovations out there at Fort. Love for you guys to come by and see it, man. I got some really good coaches that have their connections. We haven't cost the parents or the district a dime. We've done, between new cages, the district did buy the school board, but we've repainted everything, turf areas. We're looking for a locker room now. And my coach, Jimmy Alston, is a good fellow, man. He's got a little VIP section. I don't know if y'all been to Fort. They got that weird area between the press box and the fence. And so we kind of enclosed that, and Jimmy made it into a VIP area. So like when he's got some of the bigger sponsors that have donated money, they get to come in there and sit for free, and he's going to have food and stuff for them. It's pretty good little. It's when it's all said and done, it's actually going to be almost a college experience instead of a high school experience when we're done with it. We're building the student section out in left field, which is right by the visitor bullpen, which is going to be interesting too.
Make a little tough atmosphere for those guys in that bullpen down there. Now, you kind of before we let you go here, you alluded to a little bit earlier. Talk about your region down there. Some of the bigger games. Obviously, you got the one giant horse down there in your region, but overall a tough region. Talk about some of the matchups and the bigger region teams down there for you.
Yeah, for one, I think they're all tough, and they all have their different angles on why certain games are tough to me, and I'll get into that in a second. But I look at it and say, and this isn't no disrespect to anybody, but when you play stall, you have to. These kids approach those games differently when they know that they're expected to win, and so to me, playing a stall is much harder than playing James Island because you're always preparing for James Island, but the kid's mentality changes when you're playing a team that's of weaker status, so to say. I know last year when they played Stall, I think Stall was beating them 3-1 going into like the fourth inning at one point, right? It's just because their mentality, and it's hard to teach them to be all gas and no brakes with teams like that. If they want to goof off a little bit, and you don't want that. James Island is going to be a menace. Obviously to me, that's what we all should aspire our programs to be. And Spivey does a good job out there. They have extremely nice facilities. It's in this day and age of, and it's not saying that he does that or anybody does it, but when you got the Oceansides and James Island or charter schools, before they did this little high school transfer rules, you had these guys that could just transfer into these schools. And, this high school is becoming like college where they all worried about facilities. They want, if we were kids, we'd want the same thing. It's no different when you go and pick out a house. You're going to want things that are nice, and these kids want the same things. These are our new hats. I think we got something nobody else has. We've got a lot of good compliments on them. We're going to be selling them. So if you guys want to get one, I can definitely hook you up. We got and that's it. I'm going to approach the James Island game as I would any other game. We're there to win. I think we're going to be prepared. These guys, they responded really well in the fall for the month of October when we had them for an open season for some of the stuff that we were doing. Our practice is a little more dynamic. Again, we take more of a college approach with some of the stuff we do and not a high school approach. And so these guys are learning some more dynamic things, doing a lot of things at one time. You know, I was a little concerned about some people getting hurt because we have balls going all over the place. But again, when you have athletic kids and kids that are turned on, you have coaches that are turned on. We were able to do that. And these kids I think they were a little impressed by the way things were ran, and they're efficient, you know, and I give a lot of credit. I'm going to say this since I got some time is, you know, when I started, you know, Coach Stedman over at Hanahan was my coach. I think we all kind of pour into our kids and everything else you've done, experiences in life. Coach Stedman he coached me in baseball and football when I was at Hanahan. Then I wanted to play at Coker, and I played for the great Coach Schmatzer over there, who's a crazy guy. I still talk to him once a month. I've been doing that since I graduated from there. You know, he's always been a part of my life, which I think is important for these guys. If anybody's listening, you got these guys, college coaches in your life, man, you should stay in touch with them. But when I got out of there, I was able to go and coach at Pinewood with Coach Budden. At the time, he had Coach Osterman there as well. So I learned a ton from both of those guys. I've always been close with Phil Tobin, and I learned a lot from Tobin. Banks Faulkner was at Somerville at one time when Tobin was over there. I used to go watch his practices just to learn stuff. Always be a student of the game, I guess, is important. But I learned time management from watching Phil and Banks run those things. It doesn't matter what's going on. Everything should have a time limit and be done and get in and out. And these kids, I've done that with my kids, and I do that with the kids now, is you don't get second chances. So, like, we're in the cages. That used to drive me crazy when I was up there, and you see kids getting balls right, and the dad, we've all done it. Hey, end on a good one. And you throw like 10 more pitches. Like, I did psychology in college, and so I learned that from psychology and from training police dogs is you don't get second opportunities. So if I tell you you're getting 2 more, I don't care if I throw it against the backstop, we're out, you're done. And it's training the brain that you're not getting these extra opportunities that otherwise these other kids are thinking they're getting. And that helps, to me, kids respond to that over time, especially because their brain's starting to get trained to taking advantage of the situations they have and not waiting on something else. Sorry for that little tidbit.
No, you're good. We appreciate all the insight. No, very, very honest interview here today. So we're looking forward to seeing how the Patriots do down the line. And Coach, we appreciate you coming on. What you said earlier, I guess I'm anticipating a lot of home runs this year. So we're looking forward to see the power output from your guys.
Yeah, we better, man. I mean, if there's no home runs, bring me back on here and say what happened. And I'll try to explain it.
Right.
But we're doing it. I think we're doing a good job trying to teach the launch angle and everything else to these kids. I think that's important for us is we actually do hitting lessons with the kids. We don't just send them in the cage by themselves. We have guys that, you know, when we're doing practice, there's guys in the cage explaining stuff. And then we broke them up into groups and we're doing individualized stuff to where, you know, not everybody's Banks that has the opportunity to go on their own and learn stuff and their parents are able to pay and have lessons with all these, you know what I'm saying? You're getting all this exposure from different people and you're learning stuff. So that's why they hired me. That's my job. My job is to teach you baseball, and that's what I'm going to try and do. And, you know, that's why I was late getting on this because I was at the field doing work. But if we got things to do, you know, we're going to get you where you need to be. And if you call me and you need something, I'll pay for it out of my pocket. You know, I want these kids to have the advantages that they deserve and that they need. And hope you're breaking stuff already, man. Like if we can get like
turn it up.
You know, I think the bigger thing, man, is you know when you're dealing with this, is it's all money, right? And I think that's what I've walked into because I coached at Northwood and the time I was at Pinewood. Private schools, you kind of have a different budget. Here, it's the big district, you know, big school. You know, it's you know the parents. You know, your parents have to be bought into. They have to buy into. But we've done a good job of not using parent money so far, which is important. And if you look at our schedule online, man, we're playing some good teams this year. We're driving down to Jacksonville. I know some guy coaches down there. So we're playing Episcopal and playing some, you know, good programs that have always, you know, been extremely good. And they got donkeys. So that's going to be a good test right before hit tournament stuff. Of course, we're going up the road to playing the Walk'em tournament again up there. But I think we're testing these kids early to see what happens, and again, I'm hoping that they buy in, all of them buy in, and they do what they're supposed to. We'll have a good season. We'll come back on here and I'll show you our new state ring,
There we go. We got that'll be episode 170 of the Palmetto Dugout Show. Coach, we really do appreciate it. I know we're really pulling for you guys and can't wait to see you this coming spring.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys, man. Thanks for the opportunity.
Yes, sir.